All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Disney Co. in the Know podcast. We are going out live this morning. It is Friday morning at 9:20. I kind of feel like a news show this morning going out in the morning live. But welcome. This is episode 22, where we bring you everything you need to know about Disney and Universal vacations. We haven't had a podcast in a couple of weeks. We've been down at the parks recording, bringing you some live footage of the park, showing you what that's like. Join us on Monday night at 7:30 on Facebook Live, and we will do a Q&A where we're going to talk about our experience in the parks, what it was like, and we will answer your questions for your upcoming trip. So join us Monday night at 7:30 on Facebook Live for a live Q&A event about the in-park experience right now at Disney World. So before I introduce today's guest, the Disney Co. in the Know podcast is sponsored by 407 and Beyond Vacation Company, Disney and Universal experts who help plan your family's perfect vacation. So all you have to do is show up, have fun, and create family memories. As always, our services are free to you. Visit us on the web at www.407vacations.com. All right. So, here we go. We already got comments, and I got to introduce our guest. Wow, just a lot going on. So today's guest is Disney Co. in the Know contributor and author of many a blog posts on our blog, Lydia Freudenberg. Lydia, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks, Bruce. Hello.
Thanks for being here on such short notice.
Of course.
So there are some news stories for us to talk about today that happened earlier this week. So we'll jump right into that. But first, Alex is in the chat box. She says, I won't be there on Monday as I'll be in Disney. I'll have some live videos. Hey, that's a perfect excuse not to be there Monday night, the live show. If you can't join us live for Disney Co. in the Know because you're at the parks, that's a better option anyways. So, Alex, we hope that you have a great trip. And if you guys don't know yet, I had briefly mentioned this when I was at Disney last week, but Alex is going to be a new 407 and Beyond vacation planner. So we are excited for her to join the team and get her started. You'll be able to see her profile on our webpage and have her as a vacation planner sometime later this summer. So we are looking forward to that. So, all right, Lydia, let's just jump into the news week. We do have a handful of stories. The first one that I want to talk about is the delayed opening for some of the Disney resorts. So, doing comments in this at the same time. So, just earlier this week, Disney did release that they are delaying the opening for some of the resorts. They had posted some opening dates for the resorts at an earlier time, earlier this month, but just this week they said that 6 resorts will have a delayed opening. So those resorts are the Caribbean Beach Resort will open on July 29th. Disney's Yacht Club Resort will be opening on August 24th, the Grand Floridian on September 21st, the Polynesian on October 4th, Coronado Springs Resort on October 14th, and Disney's Art of Animation on November 1st. So we see some of those reopening dates for these resorts kind of push back further into the summer and some even into the fall. So Lydia, one thing that I know that Disney is doing for those guests who have reservations at some of these hotels that have been postponed is just putting them at kind of an equal or even higher tier resort. Which is nice because, you know, people make these reservations thinking they're going to their favorite resort or a resort that's in their price range, and then they find out that it's been delayed. So
the good thing is, like, all the hotels at Disney are very nice. So,
right, yeah.
You know, each one has like a different and unique experience. So I think if I was had to go to a different resort than I originally booked, I think that I would be fine with that. You know, it's like, oh, okay, let's experience this one instead. Right. So yeah.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's not a vacation ruiner, and it makes sense. My guess is that they just don't have the amount of guests to fill these resorts quite yet. And so they're just delaying these openings. One, for operational savings. We know that Disney right now is losing somewhere in the vicinity of like $35 to $40 million a day just on theme park operations. So saving this sort of overhead, but also if they don't have to be open for that interaction between cast members and guests, then it's also probably a health and safety measure. So I'd say a
And
combination of the two.
does it mean that they're like completely closed? I just didn't know if like because I know there's a lot of restaurants and shopping in these hotels as well. Is that also closed for guests?
Right, so that's a good question. A lot of these resorts are deluxe resorts, excuse me. And so a lot of them already have the DVC Villas built into them, and the DVC Villas are all open. And so with that comes along some of the restaurants and stuff. So over at the Polynesian, those restaurants, Ohana is open, and stuff like that. So yes, they are open, but even though these resorts have a delayed opening, you might say, well, I've seen some footage or photos, and these resorts look open. That's because the DVC Villas are open.
Got it.
So,
Okay.
Alex actually says that she's been upgraded to the Caribbean Beach Resort. So that's pretty exciting. That actually opened 2 days ago, so that works out for Alex pretty well. So Alex will definitely want to see some photos from the Caribbean Beach Resort, and we hope that you have a good time there. And she also says, thank you, I'm excited to be part of the team, and we are excited to have you as part of the team. So part of this, though, comes two resorts that actually are still closed indefinitely. Disney's Boardwalk Inn and Beach Club resorts do not have a reopening date. So those are actually two of my more favorite resorts. Over at the Boardwalk, right there next to World Showcase at Epcot, and a walking distance over to Hollywood Studios. But in their statement earlier this week, I'll just read it real quick. It says, due to the fluidity of the current environment, we will continue to evaluate adjustments to Disney Resort Hotel opening dates as needed and when the timing is right to do so. These dates are still subject to change, and reservation for stays at Disney Resort hotels not yet open could still be impacted. So, kind of leaving themselves a little bit of room to change the dates again if they need to. So, Lydia, on our Ideal Disney Day series, what was your favorite resort? Where'd you stay?
I think I actually, even though the Polynesian is my favorite resort, I think I chose the Grand Floridian.
Did you? Okay.
Because it's just one of those hotels that it's just beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so nice, like walking around on the grounds, and the lobby is so wonderful. And yeah, I mean, I highly recommend it. But is that open right now for guests, or is that for the
No,
bachelor
that's the
players?
DVC Villa. So the Grand
Okay.
Floridian won't open until September 21st.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Sounds good.
So
Well, I'll get there eventually.
you'll get there. Yeah, you'll get there. And probably sooner rather than later, given your new location. So.
Yes. We've moved down to Florida, and
Right.
we're loving the weather, guys. So
I
we recommend it.
I can imagine. Yeah. So, and thanks again for letting me use your backpack in the parks last week. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
So I got a lot
It's
of
very
compliments on
stylish.
that Lion King. What's that called? What type of bag is
It's
that?
a Loungefly,
Lounge
which I
Fly.
also like because it's my
Yes.
initials. So all on the inside it just says LF. I'm like, that's what's up.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I appreciate you letting me use your lounge fly. Definitely a lot of
Of
compliments
course.
on that bag.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on over to talking about Disney Cruise. So, actually, yesterday was the first day that all guests were able to book a Disney Cruise Fall 2021 itinerary. So, over on our blog page, which I'll put up a link right now, so you guys can just hurry on over after the show and check this out because it's just so exciting. So
Well, it is like
it is.
amazing the deal that they're doing. I was like,
Right.
I
Yeah,
saw that.
I'm being a little facetious, but really, if you are interested in a cruise for 2021, the fall itineraries are out. And if you don't know this already, the fall itineraries include like the Halloween-based cruises and the Christmas style cruises. So, but over on our blog page, over on our vacation site at forestandvacations.com/in-the-know, we have an article out that actually I wrote. So I'm just self-promoting at this point, Lydia. that the itineraries are out, and I kind of focused in on the Western Caribbean, Eastern Caribbean, and the Bahamas. Of course, there are more the Baja cruises, the Canadian cruises, but yeah, let me talk about some of the particulars here for the Western Caribbean. So the cruise highlights is Disney's Castaway Cay, Private Island, Falmouth, Jamaica, Georgetown, Grand Cayman, and Cozumel, Mexico. You can these ships that go on the Western Caribbean are the Disney Magic, Wonder, and Fantasy, and you can get a cruise from anywhere from like 4 to 7 nights on the Western Caribbean itineraries. So a lot of them go out of Miami or Port Canaveral, but you can also get a cruise out of Galveston, Texas. So and they do have the very maritime cruises, which is the Christmas celebration cruises, which are a lot of fun. So if you're looking for a Christmas cruise in 2021, this is the time to book because the prices are cheapest on release dates. And the release date was just yesterday for all guests. So on the Eastern Caribbean cruises, it visits Disney's Private Island, Castaway Cay again, the British Virgin Islands, St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and St. John's, Antigua. So a lot of good destinations there. Again, cruises go from 4 to 8 nights, and you can get on the Halloween on the High Seas cruise itinerary or the very maritime cruise itinerary for the Eastern Caribbean as well. And then lastly, on the Bahamas cruise, you'll stop at the Private Island again, Nassau, the Bahamas, and Key West, Florida. So the Bahamas have some shorter itineraries ranging from like 3 to 6 nights, but they also have the very maritime cruises and the Halloween on the high seas. So no better way than to spend Halloween or Christmas on a Disney cruise, Lydia. So
Yeah, I mean, I've never been on one, but I've heard people who are like, I'm not even a big cruise fan, but I love Disney cruises because it's
yes,
just like a whole nother level of an experience. So I
yes.
would love to go on one day.
Yes, well, when they're back open, we will do that definitely as a team. Right now, what we know about the Disney Cruise Line is that all cruises are canceled through October of this year. These itineraries are for next year in 2021. And so, if you are nervous about booking a cruise right now, all I can say is that Disney's practice up until this point is that if your cruise has been canceled, so all these cruises this summer and through October as of right now, Disney is giving you an 125% cruise credit to apply toward your next cruise. So not only 100% of the money spent on the cruise, but 125%. So
That's awesome.
that's what they're doing to get you to come back onto a future
Yeah.
Disney cruise. So if you are
Yeah, the
nervous
poor
about that,
cruise.
um, that might alleviate a little bit of that nervousness, I think. So,
Yeah.
and I would think that by fall 2021, cruises will be back up and operational. So,
Yes.
I know that the cruise line industry and Disney and Carnival and Royal Caribbean, they're all working right now, and with
Hmm.
CLIA. So anyways, that's it for the Disney cruise news this week. Lydia, you have some news regarding dining, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, so Disney just announced that they will be requiring temperature screenings for guests who are doing a table at a table service restaurant. So it's just like the parks. So they'll scan you and your entire party, and anyone that has a temperature of 100.4 or more will be directed to additional rescreening. And if it comes back at that same temperature or higher, you will not be allowed to enter, you and your entire party. So I think this is a good idea just because, a lot of experts have said things about um, like how the virus can like linger inside restaurants and stuff and bars. And so I think it's good that they're taking like extra precautions to make sure, especially if it's indoor seating, that like everyone is healthy and safe.
Right.
Um, so yeah, and some other details include more cleaning in high traffic areas, reduced contact menus. So like there'll be signage at quick service restaurants, and then the scannable codes at like the sit down restaurants, which is cool. I've actually used some of these at restaurants. It's just like the QR code, and you just use your smartphone to scan it, and then the menu pops up in like an internet browser. So it's really easy. I
Anybody
was
can
like,
do it.
yeah, anyone can do it. And I'm like, man, they should like always offer this because like menus are filthy.
Right, yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
Actually, Lydia, if we could pause right there real quick, I think that we are going to see, not just at Disney, but generally, a lot of these practices that we have
Hmm.
seen implemented kind of carry on.
Yeah.
I did fly back, wore a mask, and right now I'm in my 10-day quarantine. But like, I thought, you know what? Wearing a mask on a plane or in an airport kind of makes sense. Now, I'm not
It
saying
makes sense.
permanently, but like at least for the foreseeable future. And
Right.
these contactless menus and mobile ordering and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I could definitely see some of these practices, and hopefully the hand washing stations or the hand sanitizer at the end of attractions. I hope that that doesn't just go away when the coronavirus numbers go down, because I just think that that's good practice to begin with. I like the new
Yeah.
towel dispensers in the bathrooms and all that stuff. So I'm hoping to see that kind of carry, and I'm kind of predicting that it
Yeah.
is. But I'm sure we'll do a show in a year or so, and all that stuff will be gone, and I'll be proven wrong. But
I
I
hope
think
it
there's
sticks
benefit there.
around. Yeah, I think there's benefit. And like I see like even the younger generations, like our niece, she is so good about she's 4 years old and she is such a champion at wearing that mask. Because it's just
Hmm.
like you teach the kids like, hey, it's just safety. Let's do this.
Right,
And the kids are like, okay.
and they
So
see
I
adults
think
doing it.
yeah, and so it's like if we just maintain these practices, I think people will be like, this makes sense. Plus, I was
Yeah.
telling Casey, I was like, wearing a mask on a flight's nice because it's so cold on flights and like it kind of keeps your face warm. So I was like, this is kind of nice.
Well, especially for me, because when I flew earlier this week, I wore two masks.
Me too.
I was all like, stay away. I got my pump of hand sanitizer, and
Mhm.
so anyway, so
Yeah.
yeah, so Lydia, with the dining temperature screenings, so my understanding is that it's the same temperature threshold as at the front of the park, so 100.4. And if you have
Hmm.
100.4, they take you to another location. I think probably let you cool down, or try to, just because you've been out in the Florida heat, and then they take the temperature again. And I'll say that when we were there at the parks last week, we went through the temperature screenings at the entrance of the parks, and it is a very smooth, efficient process. They have these temperature like radar type style like mechanisms, and it's literally up at your forehead for maybe 2 seconds, and then that's it, and you're walking right through. So I don't not going to spoil what my thoughts are until Monday night's live show about the in-park experience, but I will say that the temperature screening process I thought was very positive.
Good. Yeah, it looks easy.
Yeah,
So,
right, yeah.
mhm.
So all right, so anything else on the table service dining?
Not really. I think the only other thing is like all the self-serve options, like filling up your own beverage, that's also been suspended. I don't
Right,
know if it was previously, but that was also like included in some of the news that we saw.
right.
So,
That's another one of those things. I wonder how long that will be suspended.
hmm,
Like when numbers
yeah.
go down, or for another year or so after.
And they
So,
might find that like it's more efficient for them to just fill it up because like I've seen
right,
guests up there that are like,
right,
so
yeah, yeah.
it might just be easier for them to do it.
And not everybody practices the same hygiene practices.
Hmm.
That was a lot of the word practices there. But not everyone practices the same sort of hygiene
Right.
routines, and so I think
Hmm.
at least for table service restaurants, we could see some of these measures longer term. So Lydia, once again, Dwanda, a fan of the page. We see her all the time on our live shows and on our podcast. She says good morning, so she's tuning in. So I just want to say hello to Dwanda, and thanks for joining us.
Hello.
So, all right. So, one news story that is heartbreaking but also understandable is over at Universal. So, what can you tell us
Yes.
about the news story from this week?
So Universal Studios Florida and Hollywood have canceled their 2020 Halloween horror nights. So It's especially sad, especially since it was going to be the 30th anniversary.
Yes.
But like I feel once I read the news, I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised. Like
Right.
it's an event that takes place in the evening and it's targeted towards teens and adults and it has like live entertainment, there's haunted houses, there's extra events. So a lot of like, close contacts, like big crowds. And so, they released a statement being like, we're really sad, but of course, like everyone understands. And
Right.
they also announced that, like, hey guys, since we're really sad, we're gonna make the 2021 event like super mega awesome.
I
So
hope. I'm
yeah,
really sad that this event's canceled. I get it. It
yeah.
makes sense. It's a lot of close contact in those scare houses and the scare actors.
Hmm.
But yeah, it makes sense. But it is disappointing because this is actually a really fun event. Even if you're not really into
Hmm.
this type of stuff, it's kind of fun to see the measures and the extensive theming that Universal does for these events.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
bet I would love to go do it one day. I mean, everyone
yeah,
wears a mask, but
right.
but
Masks are
I
already built
totally
into this. Yeah.
right. But I get why it's canceled. Like it absolutely makes sense. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, the 2021 event, I'm excited for. Maybe I'll go to it.
Yeah.
So,
We'll be there. We'll
hmm,
be there. As long as it's
yeah,
going and we have a wrap on the coronavirus, we'll be there as a team
yeah,
because that's going to
yeah.
be a lot of fun. Actually,
Hmm.
so Lydia, if I could add on to this, I don't know if you saw the second quarter numbers for Universal that released, but it was bad news for
It was
Universal. And so that
bad.
piggybacking off of canceling Horror Nights, which is a big moneymaker for them, was
Hmm.
just kind of a lot of bad news at once for Universal. So if you have not
Yes.
heard, um, Universal reported a 94% loss for theme park earnings. So last year at this quarter, they earned $1.46 billion of theme park revenue. In this quarter of this year in 2020, it was 87 million. So that was a 94% loss, which is really unfortunate for Universal, and then having to cancel Horror Nights. Just double bad news for Universal. So
Yeah. This
we
virus is just the worst ever.
yeah.
Such a party pooper.
So yeah, disappointing news for Universal. We hope they
Hmm.
can bounce back with great stuff in 2021.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to ask you is, what are your thoughts on the cancellation of Horror Nights going up into the holidays? Like we know that Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is canceled. Horror Nights at Universal is canceled. We're gonna start creeping into the Very Merry Christmas Party over at the Magic Kingdom and the Christmas celebrations at
Hmm.
Universal. So I'm sure that Disney and Universal are waiting until the last possible moment to cancel Christmas.
Right.
That sounds terrible, cancel Christmas, but
It's like the
cancel
Grinch.
the yeah. I feel yeah. To wait till the last possible moment to cancel Christmas events, but I would guess that that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's like even if we were to find like a vaccine tomorrow and like it's gonna take a long time to like get it distributed and like get everyone, healthy again and just like really stop it.
Yeah,
So I think that they're just gonna have to, even if everything gets back to normal, like I said immediately, there's going to
yeah,
be aftermath of it
yeah.
still.
I just don't see how either park's going to do Christmas unless they modify the experience somehow. Because we were at the Christmas party last year. We're there every year, but like we were recording the parades and the fireworks show, which are all things that are temporarily suspended at a Disney park right now anyway. So there are no parades, there are no fireworks, there are no stage shows, which is what those parties are built on.
Yeah.
And the reason why they're canceling those is because the crowds congregate and get close together, and it makes sense. So it's just hard for me to imagine that Christmas events are going to happen in a theme park this year.
Hmm.
So
We just gotta wear a mask, guys.
yeah.
It'll slow the spread. Wear your mask.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Another thing I want to talk about on Monday night's live show is wearing a mask in the theme parks. So I was there for 3 days. It was very hot, but my take on it and my perception is wearing the mask was just felt normal. It wasn't overly hot. I know that's not the case for everybody, but again, my experience with that was good. So I will talk more about that on the live show. One thing I do want to say is if you are watching the podcast live, feel free to put a question or a comment in the comment section. That's why we go live, is to give you guys the opportunity to join us. We like to take this kind of laid back and relaxed podcasting approach. So please say hi, let us know you're here. We'd love to have you join us. So, all right, let's move on from some of that more, I guess, depressing news. And let's talk about the queue for Rise of the Resistance. What do you have on that?
So, Galaxy's Edge opened and then like COVID hit. So a lot of guests haven't been able to experience it yet. And now that it's reopened, it's been pretty popular. I feel like even though it's operating at limited capacity, it's operating at like maximum limited capacity, if that makes sense. So it's really popular, and guests were actually starting to get upset about how the virtual queue works for Rise of the Resistance, because you have to be like in the park and then you have to make your reservation, and it used to be like just in the beginning,
right?
So like right when the park opened. So like you guys didn't you get there once at like
oh yeah like... So when this attraction opened and Galaxy's Edge opened, we were there like at 5:45 a.m. Waited in line, got in the park, and we were with a group. There was 5 of us in total, and we got the boarding passes at, I think the park's open at 7, and then you could start getting the passes. And we got one for like 10 a.m. And so them kind of modifying how you get boarding passes for Rise of the Resistance is a really positive step.
It is, because so now they have these like open times. So like guests will be able to check in and try to get a virtual queue spot at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m.
Right.
Which is really nice, because it's like, of course you're going to have families that like have teenagers or young kids who don't even make it to the park until like 10 a.m. anyway, because, they're 14 and they don't wake up until like 9 a.m. So it's like, yeah, it's nice that now I feel like more people are able to get a spot on this very popular attraction.
Right, and they're not guaranteed. That's the other thing. This will kind of help spread guests out, riding the attraction throughout the day. I was there at Hollywood Studios, and I had parked and was walking into the park about 9:55, 10 o'clock, not trying to get a 10 a.m. boarding pass. And I definitely noticed an influx of guests there for the 10 o'clock opening, trying to get one of those boarding passes. I did get a 2 p.m. At 2 p.m. I was refreshing, and I did get a boarding pass, and was able to get that for like a 5:30 boarding time. So it was super easy, and it's also one of those measures that kind of limits the capacity, spreads it out throughout the day, and that way the queue doesn't get overly bogged down where guests are really close to each other. So,
and it's all done. I didn't even say this, but it's all done on the My Disney Experience app.
Oh, right.
So basically, like what you do is you just open the app, and then you just go to the home screen, and you'll see like Star Wars: Rise of the Resistance, and you just click on it, and it will tell you like what's open, what's not open.
It is literally like one button.
Yeah, and they, of course, they say like nothing's guaranteed, but it's giving people more of an opportunity to try to get that spot. So
right,
good job, Disney.
Right. So yeah, that's definitely positive. More people riding Rise of the Resistance. So real quick, I want to talk about we had mentioned the mask wearing, Lydia. Disney does have new rules that they released earlier this week about mask wearing and the type of masks that are permitted. So the masks that they say are no longer permitted or no longer qualify as a mask at Disney are bandanas and the gaiters, like the neck gaiters. Those are no longer allowed, as well as the masks that have the valves or holes in them. Those are no longer allowed either. And one thing that I thought was very positive, which was a rule instituted right before we went to the parks last week, was that there's no walking around while you're eating or drinking. So obviously while you're eating or drinking, the mask comes off, but Disney has stated that if you are eating or drinking, you must be stationary and you can't be walking around because some guests were taking advantage of
Mm-hmm.
that, just carrying around a drink all day and not wearing their mask. So one thing to take away from this, I think, is that these rules are constantly evolving and getting better, and I applaud Disney for doing that.
Yeah, I'm glad they're evolving because it's like you have to. Because
Yeah.
I know, are there any regulations also on like the material? Because I know some people are like, I'm wearing a mask, but it's like mesh or like
Yeah.
crochet, and it's like that's not a mask.
So right, yeah, the crocheted mask. So I did not see any of those type of masks while I was there. In fact, part of what I'll talk about on Monday Night's live show is the mask compliance was extremely high while we were at the parks. But there are Disney cast members who are walking around or who are trained to say something to guests who aren't wearing their masks, and I imagine that if a guest were to wear a mask that just didn't qualify, like a bandana or a gaiter or a mask that was crocheted, that they would tell them that they had to put on a different style of mask.
Yeah,
So.
that's fair.
So yeah, so that's it, Lydia. I didn't put this on this morning's agenda, but I did. There was a news story that broke earlier this week, or actually, it didn't break. It occurred earlier this week, and it happened over at Epcot. Do you know what I'm about to talk about?
No, I don't. I didn't see this.
So a woman at Epcot was stopped and, from what I understand, denied entry into the park for trying to carry in 2 handguns and marijuana in the diaper bag. So that is essentially all of the facts I know about this story.
What?
There are some more, but this just caught my eye. So apparently there were 2 handguns. One was visible in the diaper bag, and then they found the other one, and she was also trying to carry marijuana into the parks. So there's obviously a lot of speculation on whether or not she did it on purpose or by accident. But either way, Disney security seems to be working, and just kind of an absurd story. About people,
and scary.
Like, right.
Why would you? What? So, oh my, people.
So, kind of an odd story to end this week's worth of news, but hard to understand how you accidentally do that in the diaper bag, from my understanding.
Yeah.
So, you got your diapers, you got your wipes, toys, and handguns. So, I don't know. But
oh, America.
so Lydia, is there anything else that you want to mention on this week's news?
I think we covered a lot, so
yeah.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I do too. So Lydia, thanks a lot for joining this week. If you guys, I'm sure you guys are familiar with Lydia, but she not only does the podcast, but her articles are also over on our blog page, which has not only news articles and our videos, but also fun articles about our favorite things at Disney and comparing attractions and stuff like that. So if you want to stay up in the know on Disney and Universal vacation news and just look at fun content, Lydia is one of our authors over there. So check her out at www.407vacations.com/in-the-know, which, Lydia, I'll put it up right now. It's covering half your face.
Great.
So there you go. Perfect. You can head on over there and check her out over there. So, Lydia, thanks a lot for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll talk to you sometime next week.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So if you are watching this show, whether it be live or a replay, we thank you for joining us on this week's podcast of Disney Co. in the Know. Like I said, you can check out more content over on our blog at 407vacations.com/in-the-know. And if you are looking to book your 2020 or 2021 Disney or Universal vacation, whether it be in the theme parks, on a cruise, or around the world, make sure to check us out at 407vacations.com, and one of our vacation planners will happily help you out. Our services are free to you, so make sure that you check us out. So guys, thanks a lot for watching. Everyone stay safe. Have a good week. Join us Monday night on Facebook at 7:30. We're going to have a live show where You guys can ask your questions about what the in-theme park experience was like. I was there last week. So we hope to have a fun discussion. I'll talk about it, ask your questions. We hope to see you there Monday night at 7:30 on Facebook Live. So again, have a good week. Thanks a lot for joining, guys, and stay safe. We'll see you later.